Genocide or not? What is going on in Nagorno-Karabakh? Two opposing views. We all know at least bits of what is going on in Nagorno-Karabakh. One dramatic development that attracted scholarly and public attention has been Azerbaijan's offensive in taking the Lachen corridor under control. Is this a genocidal attempt, or simply not? Two opposing views exist on this question. The first one comes from the former prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Luis Moreno Ocampo. He argues that the Azeri offensive is causing genocide through starvation. Professor Hakan Yavuz, on the other hand, disagrees with this. In the description, I shared links to the both accounts. Now I'll share some background information on this crisis. The Karabakh region, historically inhabited by Armenians and Azerbaijanis, experienced demographic shifts with Russian colonial occupation in the 19th century. During the Soviet era, Karabakh became an autonomous region within the Azerbaijani Socialist Soviet Republic. The collapse of the Soviet Union triggered ethnic displacement, notably the expulsion of Azerbaijani inhabitants in 1993, leading to Armenian forces' occupation of nearly 20% of Azerbaijani territories. After the First Karabakh War and peace negotiations, Azerbaijan proposed special autonomy for Karabakh Armenians, conditional on recognizing Azerbaijan's territorial integrity. Armenians rejected this, contributing to the outbreak of the Second Karabakh War in 2020. Prime Minister Pashinyan's declaration of Artsakh is Armenia and the term Miatsum heightened tensions, aligning Armenia closely with Russia but causing economic setbacks and emigration. The Second Karabakh War resulted in significant casualties for Azerbaijan, leading to a trilateral ceasefire agreement in November 2020 with Russian peacekeeping troops deployed. Azerbaijan sought integration, offering citizenship to Karabakh Armenians, but this was rejected. Armenian leaders breached the ceasefire terms by not establishing transport connections to Nakhchivan and refusing Azerbaijani citizenship, prompting President Aliyev to assert control over the Lachen corridor. This background information is actually taken from Yavuz's piece on this crisis. Now let's talk about Ocampo's stance on this crisis. In a recent report on the developments in Nagorno-Karabakh region, Ocampo concludes that a genocide is taking place against the 120,000 Armenians residing in Nagorno-Karabakh, an autonomous region within Azerbaijan. The genocide is characterized by a blockade of food, oil, medicine, and essential goods, which falls under the definition of genocide in Article 2 of the Genocide Convention. The Lachen corridor blockade, initiated in December 2022, has led to severe shortages impacting the lives of the population. Despite the International Court of Justice's order to lift the blockade, Azerbaijan, led by President Ilham Aliyev, has escalated the situation, denying humanitarian relief and disregarding legal orders. The report argues that the blockade, causing conditions of life calculated to bring about physical destruction, constitutes genocide. Genocidal intent is attributed to President Aliyev's deliberate actions and defiance of legal orders. The obligation of state parties to the Genocide Convention to prevent and punish genocide is emphasized, citing a precedent from the International Court of Justice. The duty to prevent genocide does not require proof of actual physical destruction, but necessitates immediate action to stop actions leading to genocide. Ocampo calls for urgent international intervention, particularly from the United States, Russia, the EU members as state parties to the Genocide Convention. The report urged Secretary of State Antony Blinken to lead a collective response and emphasizes the historical opportunity to prevent further tragedy. The window for effective prevention measures is said to be closing rapidly, emphasizing the need for immediate action by the international community. Now let's turn our attention to Hakan Yavuz's critique of Ocampo's account. Hakan Yavuz penned his criticism toward Ocampo in the aftermath of this offensive. According to Yavuz, Aliyev's intention is integration rather than forced displacement of Armenians. He proposed the Akhtam-Stepanakert road to address needs but faced rejection. The Karabakh narrative concludes with two paths. Armenians can integrate into Azerbaijan or choose an alternative trajectory. Accusations of genocide and ethnic cleansing against Azerbaijan and a reliance on an increased Russian role appear to have precarious outcomes for Armenia. The criticism toward Ocampo's report centers on his characterization of the obstruction of the Lachen corridor as a deliberate attempt to induce starvation among the Armenian population, labeled prematurely as genocide. Prematurely is the key term here. The critic points out the absence of first-hand exploration of substantive investigative effort to understand the motivations behind the corridor's closure. It argues that Ocampo fails to acknowledge the multifaceted nature of Karabakh's sustenance infrastructure and overlooks President Aliyev's advocacy for an alternative route, suggesting a different intention focused on assimilating Armenians into Azerbaijan rather than malevolence. The analysis is faulted for not illuminating the authentic intentions behind Azerbaijan's policies, and the premature alignment with the Genocide Convention is seen as diminishing the gravity associated with the crime. Instead of fostering sincere dialogue for the well-being of Karabakh Armenians, the Armenian political leadership is accused of further alienating the Azerbaijani government. The critic highlights infrastructure challenges in Karabakh and the need for cooperative efforts with Baku to address immediate concerns. It suggests that some Armenians prioritize independence over pressing economic matters, viewing their secessionist stance as lacking rationality or pragmatism. The criticism concludes that Armenian nationalists, focused on the concept of genocide, articulate unrealistic objectives such as converting Karabakh into a Russian protectorate or seeking territorial autonomy. This is Hakan Yavuz's opinion on this topic. So in conclusion, in the complex landscape of Nagorno-Karabakh, two opposing views emerge regarding the recent events, particularly the Lachen corridor blockade. Former prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Luis Moreno Ocampo, asserts that a genocidal attempt is underway, highlighting a blockade causing conditions of life calculated to bring about physical destruction. However, Professor Hakan Yavuz offers a critical perspective, questioning Ocampo's premature labeling of the situation as genocide. Yavuz emphasizes the need for a nuanced understanding of Azerbaijan's policies, pointing out the multifaceted nature of Karabakh's sustenance infrastructure and advocating for sincere dialogue to address the region's immediate challenges. So overall, these accounts reveal the complexities of the situation and the ongoing debate surrounding its characterization. And you can always write your thoughts down in the comment section of this video.